Hey guys, it's Will here and welcome back to another 40k batrep. Tonight playing Sam again, but he's decided to change up his army after our last game where he really felt the sting of orcs not having their codex yet. He's decided to bring his Tyranids out for something a bit different. I'll be playing my Eldar again. I did consider going with my Scythes of the Emperor against his High Fleet Kraken just for a nice sort of thematic matchup, but really wanted to test out my Avatar of Khaine as well. Finished him a month or so ago and haven't had a chance to get him on the table yet. Now I know he's not the necessarily the strongest unit, probably a bit overcosted for what he does, but it'll be fun to give him a run out today. And I brought some striking scorpions along because after I criticised them a bit in some of my tactics videos, or my Path of the Warrior videos, I've had a bit of feedback of people saying actually they are pretty good, so I thought, you know what, I'll stick with it, see what I can get them to do. It's going to be 2,000 points again, and for the mission we rolled up the recon mission from the chapter approved, so it's the one where you have to split your forces into 3 parts and stuff has to start in reserve, so quite a different mission to your standard sort of game, but it should produce an interesting outcome. So here's my 2,000 points Biel Tan Eldar for tonight, trying something a little bit different, running a few models I don't normally use, and starting off with that is my Avatar of Khaine. So first time using him, not expecting great things from him because he's not the best, but it should be fun to give him a go. 3 units of Dire Avengers, all with the Exarchs with the double catapults, fill out my troops choices, and then my second HQ is my Warlock who's running Jinx Protect as his powers as ever. Then I got 2 units of Dark Reapers. Yes, although I'm running some things different here, some things don't change, and I think 2 units of Reapers are brilliant. And then I got my 3 Wave Serpents, 2 with the twin cannons, triple cannons, and 1 with the twin Bright Lance, underslung cannon, crystal targeting matrix, and spirit stones. Then for my elites, got a unit of striking scorpions. Not a unit I've had much success with in the past, but seeing if they'll do the job for me today. And then I've got a Vanguard detachment led by my Farseer, who will also be my Warlord. He's got Guide and Doom, Natural Leader as his trait, and the Phoenix Gem as his item. And then to round out that detachment, I've got 6 Shining Spears, and 2 units of 4 Wind Riders, all with shuriken cannons for all that re-rolling one's goodness. So that's 2,000 points of Eldar. Interesting to see how this different list plays tonight.
So here is my 2,000 points of Tyranids, pure Tyranids. It's been a while since I've actually played them, but I'm fed up of playing the index armies for the factions I'm waiting for. So it's a battalion and a spearhead. So I'm not going to bother going down which one's which, I'll just give you all. So HQs wise, I've got Swarmlord and 2 flying hive tyrants with twinning devourers with brain leech worms and the monstrous rending claws to save points. 2 units of termagants, 115, 116 just because points, and 20 gene stealers. I've then got 30 gargoyles because I actually quite like gargoyles and I think they could be effective in the right situation. And then lots of heavy monsters, bit of monster magic, exocrine just because I wanted some sort of gun at the back, horror specs just because he was gathering dust and I thought I should get him off the shelf for a bit, Trigon because Trigon, and 2 Carnifexes. They're literally stock stat Carnifexes with 2 surviving talons each. So that's 2,000 points on the nose.
So we're all deployed now, and the mission we've rolled up is Recon with a Vanguard deployment. So as you can see, I've got very little starting on the board. The rest of it is left in reserves because I have to split my army into 3. So got the Wave Serpent here, and in there is my Warlock, Dire Avengers and Dark Reapers. And then over here is 4 Wind Rider jet bikes, and that's it. There were also the Striking Scorpions in this, but obviously they've gone into reserves. Having a much hoardier army and being a bit lucky with his roll, Sam's got loads on the board. Horror Specs, Gargoyles, Swarmlord and Gene Stealers. But the Vanguard deployment, combined with things having to come on from the back when they arrive in reserve, should give me plenty of time to cut down the worst of these Gribblies before we get up in my face. But High Fleet Kraken is pretty fast and pretty strong, so should be to be a challenging game, and this deployment has never, or this mission type with reserves being compulsory, has never worked well for me in the past, but we shall see. At the moment, I've got the +1 to my reserve rolls because I finished deploying first, but let's see who's up first. I've got 5, so that's a 6. He got a 5, so Eldar turn 1 unless he can seize. Nope, it's a 3, he does not seize. Here we go, Eldar turn 1. So the one problem with trying to keep your opponent at arm's length is that sometimes you won't have the range either. But was able to bring some reserves on to help with that a little bit. Got my my Farseer on, a second unit of jet bikes, the Shining Spears and the Avatar. But a lot of my other 2 grav tanks stayed off the board, which was a little bit disappointing. Disembarked the Dark Reapers to secure me objective 1, which was the only objective I had a reasonable chance of scoring this turn. My other objectives were to secure 2, which was bang in the centre, right in front of his army, and keep enemy units away from 6, the hidden path stratagem, or objective. And yeah, I wasn't going to wipe out enough Gene Stealers to do that. So yeah, just pushed up these jet bikes into maximum range of the Gene Stealers just to shoot them. Most of the newly arrived reserves weren't able to do anything, and the Reapers put 6 wounds on the horror specs, and I killed 6 Gene Stealers with the jet bikes, even with guide. Not really as good as I would have liked, but it's a start. And yeah, Wave Serpent was out of range by a little bit. So yeah, not an ideal start, but we've got some units on, and next turn I'll have a lot more in range to do a lot more damage. Sam started the turn with some pretty good rolling, getting a whole host of models on. We got 2 units of termagants, we've got the Carnifexes, Trigon, Hive Tyrants, big shooty thing, Exocrine, and then a whole load of running across the board. He used Metabolic Overdrive to get this guy right up in my grill, and then he used another Hive Fleet Kraken stratagem to move up his gargoyles. He was then able to cast Onslaught on them, allowing them to act normally despite having run a significant distance across the board. And then the Gene Stealers used just their natural abilities to move really fast, and then Swarmlord's buff to give them another move, and then their Gene Stealer abilities to move and charge to get right up onto my side of the table on the first turn. He also cast Catalyst on them, which I believe gives them some extra resilience as well. So yeah, shooting was largely ineffective. He killed 3 jet bikes with the combined firepower of the Exocrine and the gargoyles, but it was in combat where the damage was done. Gargoyles got into the jet bikes and finished them off, and the Gene Stealers got into the Avatar, put 4 wounds on him. To be honest, I thought that could have been a lot worse. I was expecting to potentially lose him there, but only 4 wounds taken, but only 2 in return. So yeah, not a great place for my Avatar to be. He doesn't do well in hordes. Points wise, he scored 1 point for First Blood and 1 point for no prisoners. So yeah, slow start here for the Eldar, countered by a ridiculously fast start for the Gene Stealers, but we've got reserves coming, and those Gene Stealers need to die. Here we go, Eldar, turn 2. So as per the mission, the rest of my reserves turned up, although those inside transports have kind of had to sit it out in their transports. So we've got the Wave Serpent over here and the one down here, and also I brought my Scorpions on over here ready to get a charge off over there. I think that was about it, because everything else was kind of hiding in transports already on the board. So as you can see, moved my Shining Spears forward to threaten the horror specs, and these guys up to grab objective 4, which was one of my objectives, along with 2 and Witch Hunter. And I just shuffled my Reapers a little bit to get them to a better position. In the psychic phase, I managed to cast Guide on this Falcon with the Lances, and Doom on the Gargoyles. Shooting phase, almost killed the horror specs, left it on like 3 wounds. But the big result was Swarmlord. I thought I might be able to weaken him with the combined firepower of this with Guide, the Wave Serpent with Guide, the Reapers with Natural Leader from the Farseer, and the jet bikes. But as it was, the jet bikes didn't even get to shoot it. just really bad dice on Sam's part. No offence, mate, but your dice suck. Just couldn't roll saves for a guy with a 4-up invuln, and against that level of damage, just, yeah, sorry Swarmlord. So the jet bikes killed a few guys over there. And then in the assault phase, I managed to get my Shining Spears into the Horror Specs to finish it off, although I did lose 3 to mortal wounds from its acid blood. And core to the Young King stratagem, got my Scorpions into combat with his Gargoyles and killed a bunch of those for very little comeback. And then to carry on Sam's epically bad luck, the Gene Stealers failed to wound the Avatar. Also, well, they didn't fail to wound it, but everything they did wound it with was saved by either my Feel No Pain or my Invuln. So yeah, Avatar's doing surprisingly well today. Only killed 2 Gene Stealers, but he's holding them up, and for now I'll take that. So I scored objective 2 and objective 4 and Witch Hunter, so got all the points there, so a very good turn. Let's see what the Tyranids can do with their bucket load of reserves in response to this. Correction, he hasn't actually got any reserves, they're already here, they're just about to come and get me. So this turn the Tyranids had Defend 5 and Secure 5, which was right up here, and also Assassinate, which would be a little bit harder to kill, but he thought he might be able to get the Avatar. So pushed up both Hive Tyrants to threaten the Shining Spears, and everything else just advanced, apart from the Exocrine, which stayed still, and that was a good choice because it was able to completely blow this jet bike unit off the board, so he's hurting my manoeuvrability a bit this turn. As you can see, the Shining Spears wiped out by a combination of nasty psychic powers, Devourers, and then being whacked in the face by 2 Hive Tyrants. So that's got him 5, but potentially vulnerable now to a counterpunch. But we shall see how that goes down. The Trigon is not having a good game, not being able to pop up in my deployment zone on turn 1, having to stay in his zone, was a real handicap for the Trigon, unfortunately. Mission really didn't suit him, but you know, he'll probably get into combat by next turn. And down here, things just went terribly for the Tyranids. The Gene Stealers only managed 3 wounds on the Avatar. Really should have been more. The dice have really not been in Sam's favour tonight, but hey, my Avatar's holding up that flank rather nicely, and the Scorpions butchered through the majority of the Gargoyles. They're only still there because they're just about within 12 of the Hive Tyrant, and I did manage to kill another 2 Gene Steers with the Avatar. Points wise, he just scored that 1 objective there, and yeah, it's going to be a bit of an uphill struggle for the Tyranids, but he's still got those 2 Carnifexes and 2 Hive Tyrants and a bunch of Stealers, so you know, it's not over yet. So this turn my objectives were Supremacy, Combined Strike and Hold the Line. Now after measuring it, we realised Hold the Line would involve taking out the Gene Stealers and the Gargoyles. But I disembarked the majority of my troops because these 2 Hive Tyrants here needed to die. So I think everybody's out now, and this one that was on objective 5, which I needed to deny him because he was holding the defend stratagem, was the one that was lit up. Farseer failed to cast Doom on him, unfortunately, but I did successfully jinx him. Farseer then naturally did these and guided these. It took the majority of my army's firepower to take that Hive Tyrant out though, because he was -1 to hit. A lot of my infantry really struggled to do a lot to him, despite Sam's consistently underperforming save rolls. You know, I've said that a few times, but I just want to sort of say that, you know, Sam's been really unlucky this game, and I almost feel bad for him. And then the Reapers, though, with their unmodified hit rolls, were able to finish him off and have a few shots left over to put some wounds on this guy. That was about it for shooting, but then in combat my Scorpions wiped out the Gargoyles, and the Avatar was killed by the Gene Stealers, but the Avatar Resurgent stratagem, it may be 3 command points, but it keeps my Avatar alive, so he is back up, and I luckily rolled a 6 for that as well, so he's back up on 6 wounds and gradually hacking his way through those Gene Stealers. So points wise, didn't get Hold the Line, but I got Supremacy for D3, and I got combined strike for D3 as well, because I killed something in the shooting phase and something in the assault phase. So yeah, I'm going to keep hold the line because I might be able to get that. But yeah, let's roll those two D3s now. Actually, that's a 1 and a 4, so that's a total of 3 points. So not a bad turn. Here we go with Tyranid turn 3. So still holding on to assassinate and defend 5, and his other objective was terrify, which is basically the Tyranid version of psychological warfare. And while he didn't score any of those, he did some serious damage. So the one surviving Flyrant flew over here and chucked out some psychic powers, then some devourers, and then some fists to deal with my Dark Reapers. And the Dark Reaper squad over here was blasted off the board by yonder Exocrine. It was the one model that's been really reliable in the Tyranid list. And the Trigon mauled through a unit of Dire Avengers that were there to push me off objective 5, meaning I'm going to need to kill him next turn to stop him scoring the defend stratagem objective. Other than that, both Carnifexes attempted to charge the Dire Avengers, but only one made it in, and he had poor dice, only killed 2 of them in the end. And down here the Gene Stealers lucked out again, just completely out of luck. Failed to wound the Avatar, who killed another 2 of them. So I'm a little bit worried because I am down both squads of Dark Reapers now, and there's still too many monsters. But I'm getting points on this, so if I can survive to the end, I should be able to pull this. So a tougher turn without my Avengers not really getting so much, without my Reapers not getting so much done. My objectives were all a non-start really. Defend 5, there's a Trigon sitting on it and not much that can deal with it. Hold the line. I could have done if I dealt with this Hive Tyrant, but despite both of these grav tanks, a psychic barrage from the Farseer with smite and then trying to doom the target, and generally lots of other shooting, left it on 1 wound. So didn't score hold the line, and area denial was being denied by the Carnifexes. One positive from the turn, I walked the Avatar out of combat with the Gene Stealers because there was now a gap to do it, and ran in the Scorpions instead, who didn't even need to charge, they did it with their pistols. So that's the Gene Stealers gone. And over here I did manage to pop a couple of wounds onto the Trigon, but yeah, I'm kind of getting pushed back here. I am up on points though, and I'm going to discard defend 5 because I think that's going to be the hardest objective to score of. No, I'm going to discard area denial because there's no way I'm going to get that. But yeah, so tough turn, and Tyranids right in my face. So the Tyranid monsters continued to push up on me this turn, and as you can see they've made quite an impact. The Trigon over here was able to wipe out the last of my Dire Avengers on this side, while the last of the Avengers in the middle were killed off by the Carnifexes. And the Exocrine over there, that's been his man of the match for sure, almost killed this Wave Serpent. It wasn't for the Spirit Stones, this would be gone. 14 wounds. Spirit Stone 3 of them, so we're alive, but yeah, nasty. A big Hive Tyrant here that was just on 1 wound, came over to challenge the Avatar to a fight, and ended up regretting it. He did bring the Avatar down to a single wound, but then the Avatar killed him, so yeah, that's good. And now the Avatar is looking menacingly at those Carnifexes. See if I can bring 1, if not both of them, down with me, because I know the Avatar's not long for this world. Points wise, he scored Crush, which is kill something in combat with a monster, and also Secure 2 with those Termagants, so they're finally doing something. So yeah, he's bringing it back on points now, but as we head into what I believe is the 4th Eldar turn, I've still got options. Slight correction there, it's actually turn 5, not turn 4, so could be ending pretty soon. Okay, so turn 5, and we really turned it around this time. Farseer and the Warlock teamed up their psychic powers, including Smite, onto the Trigon, and then this Wave Serpent and the Falcon opened up on it to finish it off. Really pleased to get that out of the way. Other than that, the Scorpions and the Avatar pushed up on the Carnifexes, did 6 wounds from shooting, and then the Scorpions finished 1 in combat while the Avatar took the other, and about half of these Termagants fled after being shot by the Wave Serpent. So points wise, I pushed enough out of my deployment zone to get hold of the line, and also score blood and guts, kill something in combat. And defend 5 is now looking like an actual possibility. With most of his key players gone, Sam's turn was pretty quick. He pushed up the termagants to try and take out the Avatar, but was unfortunately unable to wound it. And then the Exocrine fired at this Wave Serpent, but didn't do as well as he did last turn, only did 6 wounds to it. I say only, that's still a pretty decent chunk out of one of the hardest tanks in the game. But yeah, now it is time to see if the game ends. No, not over, but I think Sam was talking about possibly calling that, so if you want to do that, mate, cool. GG, sorry about that.
So we decided to call it there because Sam wasn't particularly enjoying it at that point. He was 10-5 down, which not necessarily insurmountable in 2 turns, but probably was with the way his luck was going and the amount he still had left on the table. I think unfortunately, despite the fact he got off to a really good start, getting the Gene Stealers and the Gargoyles into combat right from the get-go and taking the first points and getting first blood, it kind of the mission didn't suit him. I think was one of the issues with a lot of his slower units having to go the full length of the table and then some, because of the Vanguard deployment coupled with having to come on from the back line. It yeah, meant they had a long way to go, and while some of his units were able to get there quite quickly, the flying stuff and the Gene Stealers, the other units had a hell of a way to go, and with the deep strike rules as they are at the moment, the Trigon couldn't pop up in my deployment zone because it became available on turn 1. If it become available turn 2, then chances are it would have actually been able to join in the fight and make a bit more of an impact a bit earlier on, maybe shift the balance a bit. But yeah, the Avatar, my new unit wanted to try out, and I didn't expect great things from him. I thought 250 points, he's good, but he's not 250 points good. But yeah, I mean, he did some work today, held up those Gene Stealers for a while, and then killed a Hive Tyrant and a Carnifex. Is yeah, definitely my MVP today. Now, I will admit some of that was sheer dumb luck on my part with the saves, but yeah, he's certainly gone up in my estimations. As for Sam's army, I think, you know, it was good, you know, getting those Gene Stealers with the help of Swarmlord and the High Fleet Kraken rules, being able to hit my lines first turn, basically irregardless of what I did. You know, I moved to 23 inches out so my jet bikes could still shoot them, and he was able to not only charge the jet bikes but get around the back and hit the Avatar as well. It was quite impressive. But ultimately the mission and the dice didn't really favour the Tyranids. But hey, it was a good fun game, and it was nice to see the Scorpions get to do something as well. In the past I've found they've either failed their charge or completely woofed once they got into combat, but today, with that Court of the Young King stratagem and having a suitable target in the shape of the Gargoyles, who were coming to me but were squidgy enough that Scorpions could actually take them, yeah, I think it was a good matchup for them. Again, I still don't think they're the best unit, but they've done better for me than they have in the past. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this batrep, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.